Speak English anyway, a place where confidence matters more than perfection, and every voice deserves to be heard.
Hey people, I'm Linda.
And I'm Ethan, and today we're solving the thing that I personally found most frustrating about speaking English for the first 3 years of doing it.
3 years is specific.
Very specific, because on year 4, something clicked, and I want people to get there faster than I did.
Today we're talking about one of the most genuinely maddening things in the English learning experience. You know what you want to say. It is clear in your head. The idea is there. The thought is complete. And then the moment you try to say it in English, something breaks. The words slow down, the grammar gets complicated, the sentence starts in one direction and ends in a completely different one.
And by the time you have assembled something that resembles what you meant, the conversation has moved 3 topics forward.
Gone forever, and you are left with this finished English sentence that nobody needed anymore, like arriving at a party with food just as everyone is leaving.
I had a version of this where I spent so long constructing what I thought was a brilliant observation about something a group was discussing, and by the time I said it, they had already resolved the topic, made a decision, and moved on. My brilliant observation landed into complete silence, followed by one person saying, "Right, so anyway."
Right, so anyway, the 4 most deflating words.
They were very kind about it, which made it worse.
So today we are talking about how to think and speak at the same time. How do you process the language fast enough to keep up with a real conversation in real time? And is this something that can actually be trained, or do you just have to wait and hope?
It can be trained. I am proof. Imperfect, occasionally slow proof, but proof.
Let's understand what is actually happening when you feel slow, because understanding the problem properly is half of fixing it. When a native speaker talks, when they produce English effortlessly, quickly, without pausing to think about each word, what is actually happening in their brain?
Are they smarter? Do they have some biological advantage? These are questions I genuinely asked myself during year 1, slightly resentfully.
The answer is no. What they have is automaticity. Some things in their English are so practiced, so repeated, so deeply stored that they happen without conscious thought. They do not decide to say, "I was just thinking." It comes out. Thousands of these units are stored in the automatic part of their brain, the part that does not require effort, the part that does not slow down conversations.
And in a learner's brain, that automatic part is smaller, much smaller. So more of the language requires conscious effort, and conscious effort is slow, and it takes mental space. And when you're spending mental space on assembling grammar, you have very little left for what you actually want to communicate.
It's like trying to drive a car while also reading a map, while also having a conversation, while also watching the weather. Too many things competing for the same limited attention.
This is exactly what it felt like. I remember being in conversations where I was genuinely tracking 4 things simultaneously: what they said, what I wanted to respond, how to say it in English, and whether my grammar from my previous sentence was correct. It's cognitively exhausting. No wonder the output suffered.
Something always gets dropped, usually the smoothness of the language. So the solution, the real solution, is not to think faster, it's to need to think less, to move more and more of your English from the conscious, effortful part of your brain to the automatic part, so that the grammar is already done before you even start the sentence.
So that your conscious mind is free for what you actually want to communicate, not how to say it. This is the shift, and it's significant when it happens.
In your first language, your brain is almost entirely free for meaning. You are not thinking about the grammar while you speak. You are thinking about what you want to say. The grammar takes care of itself, and that is what we are building toward in English.
Grammar in the background, running quietly, like the operating system of a phone. You do not think about it. It just keeps everything working.
And how do you get there? The only answer is through repetition of output, not input, not listening and reading. Output, speaking, producing the language again and again until the production itself becomes less effortful.
And I want to be honest about this because it was confronting for me. I had done a lot of listening, a lot of reading, a lot of study, and I felt like I should be faster. And the reason I was not faster was simply that I had not spoken enough. My mouth had not done the work. The brain knew the words, the mouth had not practiced retrieving them at speed.
The mouth needs its own education, and this is why a lot of study strategies, however well-intentioned, do not build this skill. Vocabulary lists do not build it. Grammar exercises do not build it. Even a lot of listening does not build it, because none of those things require you to produce language in real time under pressure.
And real-time production under pressure is the only training ground. There is no substitute for it. I tried to find one for 2 years. There is not one.
But, and this is important, real-time production does not have to mean a terrifying conversation with a native speaker at full speed. It can be built up gradually, in safe spaces, in low-pressure moments, and today I want to give you very specific ways to do that.
Things that actually build speed. I want to emphasize actually because there are a lot of things that feel like they should build speed but do not. Watching more shows, for example, useful for many things, does not build speaking speed. Speaking builds speaking speed.
Strategy 1. Speak first, edit later. This is the single most important habit shift for slow English speakers. Most learners do the opposite. They edit first, they think through the whole sentence, check the grammar, choose the vocabulary, and then they speak. And this internal editing is what makes them slow.
I called this my internal committee meeting phase. Before I could say anything, every word had to be approved by a committee in my head. The committee was slow. The committee had very high standards. The committee was killing my conversational timing completely.
The internal committee. So instead, commit to speaking first. Say something, even if it comes out wrong, even if the grammar is off. Say it, and then, if necessary, correct it mid-sentence. I have seen that movie. That self-correction out loud, perfectly natural. Native speakers do it constantly, but the key is you started.
And over time, as you do this more and more, the committee gets quieter. Not because you lowered your standards, because your brain has enough data now, enough examples of what works, and it stops needing to check every word before releasing it.
Strategy 2. Build a phrase library. Not a word list, a phrase library. Ready-made containers. Things like, the way I see it, what I'm trying to say is, that's actually a good point. I'm not sure I agree with that. It depends on. These are not impressive sentences. They are the scaffolding that holds real conversation together.
I started collecting these deliberately after someone pointed out that native speakers say the same connective phrases over and over. I had never noticed. Once I noticed, I could not unnotice. Every conversation was suddenly full of these little scaffolding phrases, and I thought, why am I not using these? They're right there, free to use, no grammar required.
And the more of these you have on automatic, the more mental space you have for the actual content of what you want to say. The scaffolding handles itself. You just fill it with meaning.
It is like having a good kitchen. You don't think about where the knives are, you just cook. The kitchen is just there, organized, ready. The phrase library is the kitchen of conversation.
That is a surprisingly good metaphor for someone who I know does not cook.
I have a very good theoretical understanding of kitchens.
Strategy 3, use filler language intentionally. Things like, right, you know what? Let me think. That's interesting. These are not meaningless noises. They are socially accepted thinking time. Native speakers use them constantly.
This was a revelation for me. I thought filler language was a weakness, something polished speakers did not use. I started paying attention and realized every fluent speaker I admired used these constantly. It was not a weakness, it was a skill, a way of staying in the conversation while the next thought assembled itself.
And learners almost never use filler language. They either speak or they go silent. And the silence, in their own head, feels like failure. But, let me think about that, gives you 3 seconds. And 3 seconds is often all you need.
3 seconds feels enormous when you need it, and nobody notices you used it. They think you're being thoughtful. You are being thoughtful and buying time simultaneously. These are not mutually exclusive.
Strategy 4, and this might be the most counterintuitive one, slow down to speak faster. I know, it sounds like the opposite of what we want, but a lot of learners try to compensate for their processing speed by speaking faster. They rush, they cram words together, they try to get through the sentence before the brain loses the thread.
And the result is speech that is hard to follow. I did this. I spoke fast in the hope that speed would hide the gaps. It did not hide the gaps. It made the gaps arrive faster and with less warning.
Whereas a speaker who is slightly slower, but deliberate, steady, with real pauses in the right places, sounds more confident, more clear, more in control. The pauses are not weakness. They are part of the communication. They give the listener time to process. They give the speaker time to think.
And there is something psychological happening here, too. When you rush, your body reads it as anxiety. Your brain responds to the anxiety by producing more of it. It's a feedback loop that makes everything worse. When you pause deliberately, your body reads it as calm, and the calm is also self-reinforcing.
Exactly. The pause says, I am allowed to think. And one day, the pauses get shorter because the thinking gets faster, and what people hear is fluency.
Not because you learned a trick, because you built the actual thing, the real fluency, one painful 60-second exercise at a time.
Now, mental interference, the internal running commentary that most learners have while they're speaking. The voice that says, is this right? Is my grammar correct? They're looking at me strangely. My accent is too strong.
Oh, this voice. I know this voice. I called it the commentary. In my head, it had a very specific tone, slightly judgmental, slightly panicked, not helpful.
And all of this commentary is happening at the same time you are trying to speak, which means it's taking up exactly the mental space you need for speaking. And the only way to quiet the commentary is through repetition, through proving to yourself enough times that you can do this, that the commentary loses its urgency.
Yes, the commentary says, is this right? And eventually you train yourself to respond, probably, let's find out. And you keep speaking, and you find out, and it was mostly right. And the commentary gets quieter until one day you're speaking and there's no commentary at all, just English.
Just English. That's what we're building. Word tour time.
These are words I wish I had known on day 1 of trying to understand why speaking felt so much harder than listening.
First word, automaticity.
Automaticity means the ability to perform a task without conscious thought. When something has been practiced so many times, it happens automatically, without effort. The goal of all language practice is automaticity.
For example, fluent speakers have automaticity in their grammar. It runs in the background without conscious effort. Or, building automaticity in English phrases is the key to thinking and speaking at the same time.
Automaticity. Repeat. Automaticity.
Automaticity. Next, effortful.
Effortful means requiring conscious effort and attention, something that does not happen automatically and needs deliberate work to produce. Early language production is effortful. Later, it becomes effortless. The bridge between those two states is practice.
For example, Early in language learning, every sentence is effortful, each word chosen deliberately. Or, as you practice more, effortful production becomes less effortful and more automatic.
Effortful. Repeat. Effortful.
Effortful. Next, deploy.
To deploy means to put something into active use, to activate something that's ready and available. In language, deploying a phrase means using it in real time without having to build it first.
For example, she could deploy a dozen conversation phrases automatically without thinking. Or, the more phrases you can deploy instantly, the faster your spoken English becomes.
Deploy. Repeat. Deploy.
Deploy. Next, scaffolding.
Scaffolding is the temporary structure that supports construction. In language, the ready-made phrases and structures that hold a conversation together while you build the content inside them.
For example, filler phrases are the scaffolding of conversation. They hold it up while you find the next real thing to say. Or, learning conversational scaffolding makes your English feel natural much faster than studying grammar rules alone.
Scaffolding. Repeat. Scaffolding.
Scaffolding. Next, deliberate.
Deliberate means done on purpose, with full intention and awareness. Deliberate practice means practicing with specific attention and a clear goal, the opposite of going through the motions.
For example, deliberate use of filler language gives you thinking time without awkward silence. Or, she made a deliberate choice to pause before answering, and it made her sound more confident.
Deliberate. Repeat. Deliberate.
Deliberate. Next, interference.
Interference means something that gets in the way and disrupts a process. Mental interference in language is the internal commentary that competes with speaking for your attention. I once counted how many separate thoughts I was having simultaneously during a difficult English conversation. It was 7. 7. No wonder nothing came out cleanly.
7 simultaneous oughts. For example, his mental interference was so loud that even words he knew well would not come out correctly. Or, reducing mental interference is one of the most important things a learner can do to improve speaking speed.
Interference. Repeat. Interference.
Interference. And last one, bandwidth.
Bandwidth is your mental capacity at any given moment, how much processing you can do simultaneously. When your bandwidth is full, something has to be dropped, usually whatever you can least afford to drop.
For example, the mental commentary uses up the bandwidth your English needs to flow. Or, when you are tired, your cognitive bandwidth is lower and speaking in English feels harder, because it genuinely is harder.
Bandwidth. Repeat. Bandwidth.
Bandwidth. 3 actions, real ones.
The 60-second one is mandatory. I'm calling it.
Action 1. Speak first, edit later. This week, in every English interaction, commit to saying something before you have checked whether it is perfect. Start without the guarantee. Edit if you must after, but start.
Action 2. Build your phrase library. This week, collect 5 conversation phrases from anything you're watching or listening to in English. Write them down, say each one out loud 10 times. Get them in your mouth.
And Action 3, the 60-second challenge. Pick any topic. Set a timer. Speak for 60 seconds without stopping. No preparation before, just 60 seconds of whatever comes. Do it every day this week. It will be uncomfortable. That discomfort is the sound of your brain building speed.
The discomfort is the feature, not the bug.
Not the bug. Take care of your English.
And take care of your heart.
This is Linda.
And this is Ethan. You've been listening to Speak English Anyway.
Bye, everyone. Remember, you do not need to think faster. You need to think less. And that comes from speaking more.
Dissolve the committee. They were never helping.